Welcome, guys, back to another episode of Backpack. It's super hot, and yeah, I'm still sweating. I don't know how Europeans live without aircon. Even if it's only a few days a year, that's amazing. Um, Hopefully, that will be fixed soon. And I want to start out with looking at MATLADS. Season 2 of Backpack is starting in 2 days, and MATLADS is basically your entry into Backpack VIP fees. So it makes a lot of sense that we're going to see appreciation of price in this chart. I've got a couple, and if you zoom out, obviously there's kind of a lull going on. I think that we should be considering that this is going to start breaking out of its accumulation. So that's one thing. The other thing is season 2 is going to start. We're going to see a ton of attention coming to Backpack because a lot of regions are going to open up. And I've told you the story about what I think is going to happen. Oh, thank you, Data Breach. There should be, I'm expecting an airdrop to happen, and essentially you can start earning points for season 2. It's probably going to get an airdrop reward as well, and then season 1 users should also see an airdrop. I don't know, like it makes the most sense if it happens on the launch of season 2, where the bunch of season 1 users get a very nice reward, and then everyone starts speculating on season 2, drawing in a ton of attention. So owning a MATLAB makes a lot of sense, considering that's going to launch. And then on top of that, in general, I think that airdrop is going to be worth your time. So guys, please check out Backpack. It's an awesome exchange. It's, it truly has everything that you need. And we're going to see a ton of attention coming to it. So join, use my ref link. It's in the description below. It's going to give you even more discounts on fees. That's only coming out of my pocket. So yeah, come check it out. Let me know what you think. And if you're having any trouble joining, just let me know, and I'll probably be able to fix it with the team for you. We're going to dive into Bitcoin. Obviously consolidating at resistance. I'm very pleased that this entire pullback hasn't happened after raiding this high here. If you hear a little bit of a sound in the background, I put this like bug lamp in the house after the whole house was open today, and it's full of bugs, so I'm trying to kill them all with a UV light, and it was like, getting fried on the electric thing. It's working. So this to me looks like if you put a gun to my head, the low we've had at just below 100k, that was the definitive bottom, and this was the first leg of our next attack upwards. So this is essentially the consolidation. Small pullback, rate the high, rate the lows into this area. I'm not really sure if this is going to hold. It should, theoretically, but it's entirely possible that we come down into this consolidation. So basically there's two areas that I'm interested in. It's here, and then it's this region down here. I'd probably consider this to be confirmed if market structure changes on the lower time frame. So essentially there's a downtrend, and we're not able to kind of regain it. So if this starts to make higher lows, higher highs, and we reclaim the lows here, then it's probably on its way for the next leg up. MicroStrategy is probably going to join the S&P 500. It ticks all the boxes now, especially on the profit requirement. So it's up to the discretion. Holy shit! It's just popping here. It's like popcorn on the back in the background. It's discretion on the side of the committee, but there is probably up to like 20 to 25 billion in passive flows that will come online if it lists on the S&P 500. That should see a lot of speculative flows increasing, and then obviously Bitcoin will increase, MicroStrategy will increase. So that passive flow should increase on its own throughout that listing. So I'm relatively happy with where Bitcoin's at. There's still the whole scenario where we have the third leg down. It just seems very, very unlikely to me. Oh, don't leave. Don't. Yeah. All right. Great. So, in my opinion, as I've said before, a lot of these, yeah, my brain is so fried from the heat. A lot of these corrections, they exist out of three moves, right? And I think essentially that was it. There is a possibility that this comes down here and goes for a third move down. It's absolutely possible. It's just the less likely thing to happen here. So if that's going to happen, it's probably because there is something happening in the macro or the global market. And I mean, ES still looks mighty fine. Everyone keeps on saying, "Oh, it's this is the point to short it," and I mean, try and explain to me where you need to short this. This is breaking into new all-time highs. Whoa. It's like a killing machine here. Sorry about that, guys. This is just a breakout. So every day this drops like, I don't know, like half a percentage. Everyone starts screaming that we need to sell. This is just, just keep on longing this stuff once it gets a pullback to the monthly here, if that happens at all. And this is just in my opinion, on a screamer to expansion. Basically, essentially, because they're gonna Trump wants to kind of blow up the debt. He wants to lower the interest rates. He wants to have a different chairman of the Federal Reserve who is gonna come on and have like a way more pumpy flavor than Jerome Powell. There's no way. He's just gonna, contrary to what he kind of signaled before, we also have the big spending bill. This is going to be an absolute disaster, but assets should react to it to the upside. And I'm not going to debate whether it's the good move, the right move, or the wrong move. I was probably in favor of actually trying to get your budget in order, but that's just the way it happened. So it's hard to imagine that Bitcoin's not going to react to it. It's lagging, and then it's going to start outperforming as the next leg of ES is kind of getting into full tilt. 6,900, 7,000 is the target, and I think it can get there quite fast, the way things are looking at. Now we have ETH BTC. In my opinion, this is just dangling, trying to recover the trend line. I think it looks good to kind of reach back into the 260 level. And I think I shared this chart on Twitter. This was a key level, and this was the key level to be swept. This is where it kind of like capitulated. This started a big move to the downside. Obviously, that's a level where it reacted to, and then it closed back inside of the range. That's a good setup, in my opinion, in my book. Maybe it's going to peak a little bit down here and then follow the line. But generally, this is the area you want to do business to the upside. And then ETH USD, kind of similar. You can see it range low, into the area here. It could definitely come lower, but then Bitcoin obviously needs to show weakness as well, and get down there. Filecoin is whoa, it's just a frenzy. Shouldn't have left the house open. So, I don't know. I feel like Filecoin is, I'm not feeling it. If ever we get 69 cents, that's probably a no-brainer bet. And I'm not really sure where to bet in this chaos. So maybe this just needs more time for me to figure out what's going on. Not in this. Still not a big fan of Solana. There's the news on Solana for the ETF, and it's just giving this knee-jerk reaction. There's a good chance that, you know, it's going to complete its fractal to ETH. ETH had this, you know, essentially this bottom here, and then it ran up, and then it started disputing, and then it just kept on falling. Obviously, Solana just doesn't seem to have the same problems as ETH, but then on the other hand, at some point you need to kind of get, you know, you need to take your profit on these big occasions. So like these big early backers, they probably, you know, try and use this to get liquidity and get out for a profit. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Solana BTC come back into the region down here. Oh yeah, doggy. Doggy is not happy with the people passing the house. It's chaos. It's absolutely chaos here today. It was like 35 degrees, and 35 degrees Celsius is not that warm, but over here it's like you get so sweaty. It's so humid. It's like you go to the tropics, and, you know, tropics is, you know, cap at like usually at like 31, 32. That's a tough day. Here it was 35. So yeah, I remain in favor of ETH as the outperformer. And it did kind of tap the reclaim level here. So I think Solana is going to keep being, you know, a shitty trade. And then the reclaim here, if this holds, and I think it will, it's going to expand up to here, which means like 40% outperformance relative to Solana. So yeah, you could probably do a trade where you're like short Sol, long ETH, for example, if you want to have, you know, you want to put on this trade, and then you could have a long ETH, short Bitcoin, just to capture like the pair trade. And I think it's probably wiser just to be long on ETH and Bitcoin, and because Solana is probably going to appreciate in terms of dollars anyways. And then this is kind of, I mean, I don't know. We had the little pumpy, and now it's consolidating here. I'd probably, well, either you trade the retest of this order block down here. There's like a 12-hour pinch bar here, the Dragonfly Doji. you sweep this into that holds and then goes higher. Or the trade is to sweep the low and then reclaim it, and then it could probably start its reversal. And then obviously this level is key because we're getting rejected off it. So if you reclaim this and you hold it and you don't get rejected again, then this was like, we're probably going to repeat at least this move and then probably rate the highs and start a trend and actually reverse this downtrend on Link BTC. So that's something that we need to watch. And then this looks still good. Like, we're in trouble, as I said before, if this really starts holding and starts to expand to 2%. It's not doing that, so I'm happy. I don't think there's any, well, as long as this pressure is kind of, cooling down, there's a reason for other assets to go higher. Once this starts to go up, we're probably in trouble on, there's probably going to be a wider pullback on basically everything, because that fear is going to mount to issues. This is getting into where you basically had a reaction of the green box, but getting filled was quite a shitty thing. Now we actually have a really awesome setup because we have a low, we have our box that we wanted to do business in, and this is essentially what the Link BTC setup is also is as well. You have this large block here and then a big push upwards, and then you create a low, you bounce, and then you rate the low again. I think it's unlikely it's going to rate these lows, unless the broader market should suspend because it's the 1618 expansion. So I think the market is kept down here. So essentially, start buying this, and then we target 155 because it should have actually been able to kind of reach into that. We have the liquidity up here, and obviously this is a large resistance because that's where we kind of pivoted down from. This was the large trap, so there's a lot of resistance in this because a lot of people bought in to kind of get long, expecting the rally to continue. So I think that's an interesting one. This one's truly just remain cooking. It's in the accumulation zone, just a spot bag. So I want to, this probably going to take some time. That's why I kind of drew the cup a little bit wide. Probably put like an alert on this one, and maybe get a bit more if it hits 820, like 820. So we put that one there. Sweep this low into 820 and the 0.886. I think that's sweet. And then we can come up and do a double if the broader market goes wild. XRP, in my opinion, I want to do business at the 0.618. The 0.618 is also at the next consolidation during the recent uptrend of November 24. I think that's where you want to do, at least a 618 and maybe a little bit lower to do business. We're kind of hanging here. Obviously, the ETF is screwing with people here in their positioning. I'm not really feeling it. If we start reclaiming the level it's getting rejected off here, because this PA looks so weird. Like, obviously people are buying this stuff, and it's obviously someone is selling it like quite aggressively every time it gets into that resistance. So I don't know. I think Garlic House is kind of cashing in on his profits, and with the ETF coming, that creates an opportunity to offload, and it's kind of the end goal for a lot of these people that got in years ago. So I don't know if this, it just doesn't stop. If this reclaims and doesn't reject, obviously I'm wrong, and this entire range is in play, and we go to that level here. Is there anything else? Yeah, I wanted to look at Ava. No, hype first. So we're essentially getting a rejection, and what we said is that this was going to be a tough cookie to beat. Let me just remove some of these. Again, here, there's two things that can happen. We have the wick here, it finds support. So this is a semi-decent place to actually be a bidder. And then the other spot that I really like, if we look at the local price action, is the low here, again into the block. If we're bullish, we should be able to come in here and then attack this resistance again. That should probably give us the opportunity to break it. So I think this is still, something to kind of build on dips and then target 47.55 and maybe higher later. I think the logical place to take profit would be, around the trend line, and then once it starts to accelerate through the trend line, that's probably a good spot to kind of, become a degenerate and see if we can reach 100. I haven't charted Sol against USDT for a long time. It's basically an over-under. So honestly, this is, in my opinion, signaling that the USD market is showing strength. Swept all these lows here back inside. So just not sure. Yeah. I don't know. It's just not popping to me. Sometimes you look at a charting like that makes a lot of sense and you just recognize it like straight away. Obviously it's trying to break out here. Kind of failing. So I'd say, become interesting if this isn't failing and is actually finding its footing. If you make, there's trend progression, essentially. You swept the high here. There's trend progression if you actually go higher than here, and then, you can actually kind of expect this to become support, and the trend is real. So at that point in time, you're probably going to be targeting the regions where we got rejected previously, which is, upwards of 180. And then if the broader market is going to swing on, that should, it should really bring it to eventually at least like 400. So this is probably bottoming, and then it's probably going to follow Bitcoin. So we spoke a lot of times about Aava, and it's, essentially, in my opinion, this is still gearing up for a giant breakout of quite a hefty, long consolidation period. And let me see if I can find the itchy. Yeah, so if this doesn't start to accelerate by like the next 2 weeks, probably in a bit of trouble here. So 1 or 2 weeks, and then I'd say, this is either good or bad, right? So the big resistance sits at like 2600. It pushed through, but it got rejected, and then the supports was sitting at like 2254 around here. Yeah, so if this doesn't start to accelerate and then break above 3000 like by next week or the week after, then I'm not so sure whether this is looking so great, and it's probably going to come down way lower. Let me just remove this. Do another reaccumulation and then do its thing, right? But I think it has a really good chance of doing it. So that's essentially, we're back inside this little range, and the green light is when it kind of when the weekly managed to hold above 280. Then it should make new highs here. All right, guys, please come check out Backpack. It's been a blast trading there. I think the fact that you can borrow into your on-chain wallets, you can trade on leverage essentially on chain using your Backpack wallet and your Backpack balance. You can just you can put on $1,000 and then borrow 10,000 into your on chain, and then start using it there, which is really cool. And then obviously you have all your sub accounts that you can trade on cross margin, and then you can convert into all these sub accounts to keep them alive. So it's a lot of fun, trading on kind of degenerate strategies sometimes, where you just take like 0.1% risk and you just put it into a new sub account, and then you start just shooting on pullbacks, and you just sell the bounces quite quickly, which has been a lot of fun to do. Other than that, I think I just want to wait for the MicroStrategy news to come. I hope that's going to come this week. And worst case scenario, we have to wait until the quarterly results of MicroStrategy, which are going to come in August. But it makes a lot of sense. They're not going to kind of wait with that kind of stuff to, and I think we're pretty sure that they made the money. So I'm going to let my brain cool down and sleep, and hopefully the next episode is going to be a bit more energetic. I'm going to be packing a lot of things around the house and going to do some travels next week, but I'll be sure that I'll bring my equipment to keep you guys up to date, and I'll catch you next week. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.